Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 519. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the award-winning and internationally celebrated author and playwright, Jeff Gottesfeld. Jeff.
It's great to be with you.
How you doing?
I'm doing great here in California. My tomatoes are about to produce, so I won't rub it into you New Englanders too
much. Yeah, we just had a frost last night, so they always say here, up here in Vermont, is that you don't plant your garden until after Memorial Day, just to be very safe. So, but yeah, compared to where you are, it's just like, you guys are already full on summer mode then.
It is full on summer mode. The tomatoes are 4 feet high, and zucchinis are producing, and I really won't
rub it in. And so, Jeff, you're here. We're here to talk a little bit about your book that was released called Honor Flight, correct?
Yes.
So give us like the one sentence pitch for Honor Flight.
An Honor Flight is about the Honor Flight program, told from the point of view of an unnamed aging vet. Honor Flight started in 2005, and it flies veterans from World War II, Korea, not that many of them left, and Vietnam era largely, to DC on free flights, so that these men and women can see their monuments often for the first time. Every vet has a guardian. It's completely volunteer, no government involvement. And in 20 years, starting very modestly, they have flown, I think, 329,000 vets. So wow. It's really something.
I mean, because you were a guardian in 2023, correct?
I was.
And so what did you expect going in, and what kind of surprised you about it?
What did I expect? I mean, I had done my homework. I had decided to write the book even before I went on that voyage, but I had no idea how emotional the whole thing would be. I was the guardian for a vet who was a stranger to me. And Dave McGinley and Jeff Gottesfeld, if you did a Venn diagram, it would look like this. I mean, we were really different from each other. And by the end of this Honor Flight experience, which is 3 days, we became very close. What surprised me, sort of the range of emotions on this trip, for men and women, most of whom had been enlisted. Many of them had never traveled. And for many of them, it was their first time back with a big group of other veterans since they had served. That was remarkable. And then the gratitude piece. It's not like it was during the Vietnam era. Right. America is grateful to its armed forces now and is grateful to its vets. And it was special to see veterans who may not have gotten a warm welcome home being greeted as warmly as they were in D.C. By strangers, and then, of course, mail call and homecoming.
And so what made you decide that this should be a picture book and not an adult nonfiction book?
It's a great question. I tend to look for subjects that are a little instructive for young people. I mean, if they don't learn it, then if someone doesn't teach it, they're never going to learn it, right? I mean, they may learn it on their own, but they certainly won't learn it at that time and place. The book is Honor Flight is full of images. It's something of a tour of Washington, D.C., which is crucial as our nation's capital. And for me, it's always a challenge to tell what can seem like something of a complex story, but tell it simply enough for a second grader to get it.
And what would you say then trying to make the book, like I said, kid readable, what was the hardest part about writing about aging and memory and service then for young readers?
Gosh, it actually wasn't that hard. I feel
Okay.
like the book kind of came through me. So I had a couple of tricks in there. One was to tell it first person through the eyes of this unnamed veteran. And first person, when you're reading first person, you identify with the narrator. It's just natural.
So how
Okay,
did you choose what to explain and what to let the images do then for the book?
ooh, that's always the challenge, right?
Yeah.
And the beauty of a picture book. And I've learned, look, I still consider myself something of a picture book rookie, right? Because this is not my genre from way back when. I started out writing teen fiction, and then moved into writing for the stage, and then writing for television. Right, I wrote soap operas. I wrote for The Young and the Restless. I
Wow.
wrote some chick lit, and I didn't write a picture book until like, I think I wrote my first one was 2013, and it was published in 2016. So
Wow.
I'm still kind of new at this. But the more that I do, the more I see where the art and the text are like, it's like a double helix of DNA, where they support one another and you can't have one without the other.
Right.
And when you've got an artist like Matt Tavares, less can be more in the text. So I try to say what I want to say, thematically and artistically and maybe even poetically. And then my artist, whether it's Matt or somebody else, will always get it right.
Right. No, so the book is solemn but not bleak. So how did you kind of find that balance?
You kind of thread your way through it, and there was some rewriting involved. I didn't want it to be solemn
Right.
because it's like a sine wave of emotions.
Right.
These honor fights, for example, it was so loud on the plane. I mean, from the moment we got to the gate at Santa Maria Airport in Santa Maria, California, till the moment that we came down over the National Mall, it was so loud. I mean, these vets are talking, 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 and upbeat and excited. And then you come over the National Mall, and they're looking out, and it's silent, right? And then dinner is loud, 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 and then you get to the Iwo Jima Memorial, and it's quiet, and then it's loud, loud, loud going up on the tram to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and then there, obviously, it's quiet.
Mm.
So there's a slew of emotions here with this, and you just want all of them to get reflected. One of my favorite parts of this book, the text is it's very spare when the vet goes to each of the monuments and memorials. And there's like one line of reflection about it, and that one line is really sort of all that you need for each monument. I mean, I know that he goes to World War II and recalls a nation of shared purpose. That's all you got to say, right?
Mm. So for families hearing this for the first time, what is a guardian and what does that and why does that role matter in this?
These men, largely men, but some women. They're old, right? I mean, if you served in Vietnam era. You're going to be into your 70s, and if you served between World War II and then, you're going to be in your 80s or your 90s, and there's a lot of transfers that are involved, and there's a lot of safety things that need to be taken care of. There's a lot of wheelchairs and a lot of walkers, and it is the job of each guardian, like me when I was one. My job is not to have a great experience on this
Mm.
trip. My job is to make sure my vet has like a fantastic experience. So my vet is first, and I'm like fourth or fifth,
Mm.
with anything. And it's just to make sure my vet is safe, my vet is looked after, whatever their needs are, I'm there to serve. And that's what guardians do. It's all volunteer too.
And is there any level of training involved to be a guardian
Yeah,
as well?
yes, absolutely. So there's a whole training day beforehand, both for vets and guardians. and you're given a lot of information, and you learn how to stick close to your vet, but give them the space also that they need. I mean, there's this wonderful spread in the book where the unnamed vet uh, is at the Vietnam Wall, and his guardian Troy is many feet away, so that the vet can have that moment on his own.
Mm. Is there what like one or two small interactions that kind of stayed with you more than any of like the big moments on your trip?
It's a great question. Um, you don't want to get too sentimental about it, but just looking at our vets, there was a group photo that was taken in front of the Vietnam Wall. Um, that was super powerful because so many of the vets from that time, they knew people who were up there, so they were like, they're there, the wall is there, and the ghosts are looking at them.
Mm.
Or at least that's what I was thinking when I was contemplating that. That was astonishing. And then homecoming, because too many of these vets never got the homecoming that they merited. You know anything about the Vietnam era? That war was unpopular in many quarters, and I was one of the people it was unpopular. So for me to be able to participate in a homecoming, helping a vet to get the homecoming that that vet deserved, and there's sort of nothing like being an octogenarian, I would guess, coming off a plane after 3 days and 2 nights, and you're tired, and you get wheeled into an airport of 1,000 people, right, with flags and banners and songs and a band and your family, and just greeted with love. Yeah, that was a moment that
Mm.
is unforgettable to me.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. Now, in the book, then, Jeff, what was the toughest thing for you to write emotionally, and what was the toughest thing that you had to write structurally?
All right, so I'll do structurally first.
Okay.
Um, Structurally, it was the tour through DC, right? So we're going. I'm going to do this from memory. It was Iwo Jima Memorial, Women's Memorial, right? Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, Korea, World War II, Vietnam, and then a scene in front of the Lincoln Memorial. And that's a lot right there. But I had to figure out a way to do that simply, right? Simply and quietly in the text, and let the illustrations do a lot of the carrying. And structurally, I think I was able to do that, but it was a challenge. Um, and then emotionally, to write, oh, man, I'm like trying to tell the story of this unnamed vet, and there's so much that has to be left out, right?
Mm.
Parents, what his what his background is, what his work life was like. There's an allusion to the fact that his wife died in there, but what to put in, what to leave out about someone who you don't identify, and still make your audience care about this person emotionally, then yeah, that was a little tricky.
Mm. So, was there anything that you had? I mean, now from a writer perspective, was there anything that you had to cut, something true uh, that just didn't fit with the book's rhythm at all?
That was not so much an issue. Okay, so this was a challenge and the cut. So there's a letter in this book toward the end from a grade school kid to the vet, right? It's part of mail call. So I'm shifting from my voice to the voice of this fourth grader, and what to put in this letter to keep it within reasonable length for this book, but also have emotional impact, but also make it true for a fourth grader's voice. That was fun.
Hmm. And so, what did you hope kids learn about service that's bigger than any single conflict? Then with this,
Oh man, that service is to be honored, right?
mm,
That you've got men and women who you don't know them, but they are there and they're doing their thing, and you may not think about them as we go along our daily lives here in America, but they're worthy of recognition, and we're here because of them. And when I say we're here because of them, I'm talking going back World War II, World War I, right? Spanish American, Civil War for sure, Revolution. You can't have a country like this without a military, and not just wartime either. I mean, these are the men and women who walk the Little Rock Nine to their classrooms. These are the sailors who rescue astronauts when they splash down. Back in the 1960s when you couldn't track them with TV like today. These are the men and women who get deployed in a natural disaster around the world. And we just sort of take it for granted. And we're at a time of a volunteer force, right? Where it's not touching every family the
right,
way it used to. So the book, in a way, is it's a bit of a wave, and it's like we're here.
right.
We deserve to be remembered. We absolutely should not be forgotten.
And do you hope adults learn something different or the same message when they read that out loud to a child? Then,
Oh, I think for adults, I mean, we've got some more experience, and it's gonna ring some memory bells for
mm,
us. I mean, for me, writing this, I mean, I talk about it a lot. Um, when I was 16 or 17 years old, growing up in Teaneck, New Jersey, in the middle of the Vietnam era, I was one of those long-haired kids whose attitude about the American military during the time of the Tet Offensive and the buildup and the body bags, it was disdainful at best,
mm,
but it was misplaced, right? My ire should be toward Washington, right?
right.
My ire should not be on the brave men and women who are serving. And yeah, I think a lot of readers will have that same feeling.
Right, because you include an afterword with some notes, and what did you most want curious readers to understand about those at the end?
Well, what was fun about the afterword is, and I was just reading it before we came on because I haven't looked at it in a bit, which is one to get a sense of what Honor Flight was about. But I make a lot of references in this book that are not a kid is not going to know immediately. When I talk about the Poussin breakout, like I don't expect a second or third grader to know what it is.
Mm,
When I talk about the wax and the waves, they're not going to know exactly what it is. When I say that a vet used to be called Squid or Jarhead or Kilroy, right? No kid is going to know it. So it's explained in the afterword, but you don't really need to know it as you're reading it. You'll get what's going on with it, and the afterward will go, oh, okay, now I understand more fully what's going on here.
if a teacher uses this in class, what's the best follow-up discussion questions they should be asking then?
What I would do, and it would depend on the age, no matter what the classroom was. And I would say that's second grade through death. um, the follow up should be let's write letters for mail call. Okay, let's all just take 10 minutes and write a letter to a vet who will be going on an honor flight that vet will receive during mail call on their way home. It's a beautiful thing. These vets are not necessarily expecting it on their plane or bus home, and when they get a stack of 100 letters from strangers, that's very powerful for them. There were tears on our flight.
Right. Now, if readers do one thing after finishing the book, what do you hope it is?
So you see a vet, you thank them,
Mm-hmm.
you write a letter for mail call, and you realize at least twice a year on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, it's not just a time for a barbecue or to go to the beach. Real people did real service and they're worthy of respect. So it's like, never forget them, right? Always respect them and then welcome them home. And that welcome home, it can last a very long time. A vet from Vietnam who, hears from a kid, thank you for your service. That's going to be powerful to that man or woman.
So, Jeff, if people want to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place they could go to?
I would. My website's pretty good. It's Jeff Gottesfeld writer.com. There are not that many Jeff Gottesfelds out there in the world, so I'm easily Googleable. They'll probably want to take a look at this book too, which is 21 Steps, Guarding the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. That was my first military themed book, which came out in 2021. I have another one coming in October from Candlewick called We All Serve, which is about the special lives of military kids, military brats, who look like all other kids, but their lives are not like all other kids. My website's pretty good, and there's some interesting articles and other kinds of features like.
So you mentioned you're working on another book then, Jeff?
So yeah, I'm working on a couple of things. So I have this book coming in October from Candlewick called We All Serve, which came about because with 21 Steps, I talked to lots of military kid audiences, and that was fantastic. And I didn't really know that much about their lives, but I learned a lot. And their lives are not like the lives of other kids, even though they look like everybody else, and they may be in your child's classroom, right? They may move 9 times in their 12 years of school. Mom or dad may be away for a school play. Christmas may be celebrated in March, right? You're going to be in another country. You're an ambassador. You're going to may live on a military base for a while, which is not like living in a regular home. Your relationship with your grandparents will be really, really different. Military kids have really special lives, and I've really come to love them.
Perfect. Well, listen, Jeff, you're gonna have to come back on when that book comes out.
I would love to, and if that book can get kids to look around in their own classrooms and go, oh, this kid's dad is in the Army, or this kid's dad's in the Air Force, or this kid's dad is in the Coast Guard, and I never really thought about it at all. I will have accomplished my mission. I'm trying. Somehow it's become my responsibility to write this.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.